Hey, this is Leet Noob here. I wanted to start creating videos again, so I decided I'd start a little series for r/tf2's daily weapon discussions. These aren't going to come out daily, but if I feel like I'm in the mood to talk about a weapon more in depth, I might make a video. So for today's discussion, I'm going to be talking about the Conniver's Kunai. Released back in 2011, the Kunai is designed as a high-risk, high-reward weapon that punishes reckless spies, but allows a sneaky one to become a massive threat. You only have 70 base health with the Kunai, but upon landing a backstab, you steal all of your opponent's health at a minimum of 75. This overheal can get you past the Kunai's default 105, and even the spy's default 185 overheal, capping out at 210 health. An interesting quirk about this item is that at 210 health, a Kunai spy still has the overheal decay at the same rate that a 105 health Kunai spy would, at 2 HP per second. So your overheal after stabbing an enemy will actually be able to last you a very long time. I actually haven't used this weapon once since it was buffed, so I had to play with it yesterday with the Diamondback, which I also kind of haven't used ever, as it sucked back then. But I collected footage over 2 casual games of me learning how to use it, so I'm probably going to be making some dumb mistakes that most people who have proper experience with the item wouldn't really make. But anyways, let's get into it. Honestly, from my impressions of the weapon, I really like it. I thought it was fun to use before the buff, and after the buff, I think it's a really solid option, at least in pubs. Part of the thrill of Spy is being this weak class that has to play right next to the enemy. If you get caught out, you're dead meat, but if you can sneak up on targets without them noticing, you can be a huge pain in the other team's backs. Pun intended. I think the Kunai is great because it really accentuates this aspect of Spy. Being right next to enemies, especially with only 70 health, can definitely be very stressful, and because of this, I think the Deadringer is kind of a comforting watch to run with Kunai. Although I also like using the stock Invis watch. I don't really know much about the Cloak and Dagger, as I haven't really played with it much, but I just personally don't like that watch in general just because it's kind of boring for me, and I don't really play Spy, like, seriously. But anyway, I think at least the Deadringer and Invis watch are both viable with Kunai, but they promote 2 very different playstyles, which I'll go over right now. The Deadringer's biggest pull is that the Fane helps offset the Kunai's survivability issues. Getting behind enemy lines, you can start to create a lot of paranoia and havoc, taking out enemies and having an almost guaranteed escape option with your large overheal and damage reducing cloak. In this clip, you can see I just stay in close proximity of my enemies, either forcing them to deal with me and proc my Deadringer, or focus on my team and risk getting backstabbed while they're distracted. I also ran the Diamondback, so after getting a few backstabs, I could become a 210 health, 102 damage slinging McCree, almost. I think the Ambassador and L'Étranger are also good options, with the Ambassador allowing you to pick enemies from afar when it's too dangerous to get close, and L'Étranger to refill cloak and have better getaways with your Deadringer. However, while the Deadringer really helps mitigate the risk of using the Kunai, it's often hard to get that first stab since you'll often be forced to activate it at pretty much the first sign of danger due to your low health. Especially in smaller games, I notice where there are less distractions to let you get in on your enemies, it could be very hard to get stabs without your opponents turning around and chasing you off, or simply just killing you. This is where I think the Invis watch comes in pretty handy. The Invis watch is really nice because you can travel long distances with it, and as you don't really want to be visible with 70 health, it really helps you safely maneuver around the map with a low risk of dying. Well, besides here. Sometimes I hate my luck. When using the Kunai and Invis together, I find myself sneaking around a lot, trying to get picks and then heading off to find another target. The overheal still helps with getaways, and it's still pretty hard to chase down a Kunai spy, unless you're next to them as like a revved heavy or pyro. However, I found that after getting a backstab, using the Invis watch, I'd often get dropped down to 150 HP, instead of keeping most of my 200 when I was using the Deadringer, because the damage resistance and the instant cloak would let me get away easier. Because of this, I found that after getting my first stab with the Invis watch and Kunai, I'd be kind of more desperate to get more backstabs in order to keep my health total high. While with the Deadringer, I was more willing to kind of get into gunfights and be a distraction and kind of just take damage, because I knew I could get out of sticky situations using my feigned death. To wrap things up, I really like the Conniver's Kunai. making this video, I realized how much I underrated it as an item, and I think I started to find Spy a lot more fun. He was definitely my least favorite class before I made this video, but now I think I'm gonna start using him more in pubs. There's this rush that comes from being in dangerous situations, playing next to your enemies as this squishy class that has pretty much no defenses. Getting caught out at Spy is a death sentence, but if played right, you can create some huge plays. And the Conniver's Kunai accentuates this thrill, with lower lows and even higher highs. My playstyle with Kunai was actually not too different than my playstyle with the default knife, in that I just tried to avoid being seen using my invisibility to get the drop on enemies and get kills. I really like how the Spy's knives, like the Kunai and Big Earner, have been buffed recently, promoting his sneaky, risky playstyle even further. It's no longer butterfly or bust with Spy. Using new knives has opened up a whole new world of Spy to me, and I'm excited to see what the class holds for me in the future. This is my first video I've made in a very long time, and since I try to forget my old videos, you might as well consider it my first. If you have any feedback on what I did well or could have done better with, feel free to leave a comment and tell me. And if you like this video, consider giving it a like and possibly even subscribing to my channel. I don't know how often I'll be able to upload videos, especially considering I'm in finals period at school right now, but stick around and see. Until then, this is Elite Noob, signing out.